Dear listeners, and welcome to Talk to Josh. It's great having you joining us today. And today we have a fascinating topic to talk about. Today, I want to talk to you about recruitment and how to develop a great CV. We all have to do CV in our job. What is really important when we're developing a CV is to make sure that we put all our essential skills that we have developed over the years when we have been working or our life experience. Crafting and compelling a CV in a competitive market is very important. What you have to do when you're writing a CV, you have to stand out so the employer can notice you. In order to discuss this more and in more details, I have a great guest, Max, who will discuss this in more details with me. Max, how are you? Good. Max, just tell me before we go into talking about recruitment and CV building. So, just tell us a bit about yourself in terms of how did you get into the professional of recruitment?
Yeah, so I was working just as a call centre manager
Yep.
and helping training at the same time. And then when the company needed recruitment, they just asked me if I knew anybody.
Yep.
So I started to just kind of go on with social media. Then they kind of paid me extra for bringing people in.
Okay.
And then when I saw how much extra I could make, I kind of thought I could do this myself. So I left and set up company.
Great. Congratulations. So, we're talking about recruitment. So, in your experience, could you share with us what do you think the essential ingredients are in developing and processing a good CV?
Yeah, so it's really important that you highlight, obviously, your strengths. Make sure there's no spelling mistakes whatsoever, because that's the downside of looking at a CV when you see a spelling mistake.
Yeah.
Try and keep it obviously minimal pages as possible. 1 to 2 pages is absolutely fine.
Yep.
When an employer is going to look at a CV, they're going to look at the first half of the page. If that first half of the page isn't boring, or if it stands out to them, they're going to want to read more. If they get fed up, they're just going to put it down to the next one and go to the next CV. That's how I found it anyway.
Right. So, what are there any key words or language that you would use when you're doing a CV?
I would make sure that the font of the CV stays exactly the same throughout.
Yeah.
I would. A lot of people think putting your picture on the CV is a good thing. I disagree.
Okay.
When an employer is going to be looking at a picture on a CV, they're going to know straight away who they want, the type of person they're looking for.
Yeah.
And if they can't see you, then they can't judge you on that.
Yeah.
So no picture, keep the font exactly the same. And as I say, always put your personal profile or your work profile at the top of the page.
Yeah.
Always fit it around to the job you're applying for as well.
Is it?
Everybody starts with a personal profile by saying, I'm a really hard worker. The amount of CVs I see where it says I'm a really hard worker is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Take that out.
Yeah.
They're going to know that you're going to put you're a hard worker. Just put the facts of what you've done and things like that.
Also, do you think I find when I'm looking at CV, when people say I'm passionate, I'm passionate, I'm committed, I'm hardworking, do you think? But as you said, do you think the future employers look at that and say, "Well, actually, let me be judge of it if you're passionate or for your hard work"?
Definitely, because when you look at it, as an employer, you're looking at 10 CVs.
Yeah.
You guarantee 8 out of them 10 CVs, they're all going to say, I'm passionate about what I'm doing. I love it. You know, it's exactly the same. To be different to somebody else,
Yeah.
just stick to the facts about who you are, what you've done, and what you want out of your career and things like that, rather than just go, I'm passionate. Of course, you're passionate, you want to have a job.
But the other thing I was going to say, Max, like we discussed this before. How does someone who has gap in their career, how do you cover that in a CV? Because that's a skill set, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So when you have a gap in your career, they always question why that gap is.
Yep.
So if you've in your personal profile, if you put in kind of you've had maybe some children, you took some time out, just say that in your personal profile or your work profile. Just so that are aware that there is going to be gaps. If you've left the country, gone travelling, state that in your personal profile. But when you're doing your date order, make sure that any gap that's in there, you say, obviously, not travelling.
Yeah. And would you say, but would you say be honest? If you've been, for example, if you're not being well, would you say, look, just be honest and say the gap is because of, I'm not being well, or I've traveled, or would you say honesty is the best policy in a CV building, or being creative?
I mean, I'd like to think that companies wouldn't discriminate against that, but I would probably just keep it as you took some time out, and then if they ask you in the interview, obviously interview stage and things like that, you do have to be honest. And when you're filling out your application form, they'll always normally ask you to fill out a health questionnaire, so you do have to be honest in that respect. But when they're kind of just looking at you for the job, to try and get yourself in a position where you've got an interview, I would probably keep that side of things.
Okay. Have you ever come across a CV where you looked at it and you felt, oh my God, how the hell did they expect to get through the door? Have you ever had any? Is there any stories like you'd like to share with us without giving people's name away, obviously?
I get CVs on a daily basis where people are applying for certain jobs.
Yeah.
Some of them you look at, and as I mentioned before, a spelling mistake.
Yeah.
When you have a spelling mistake, for some reason, when I look at the CV and I see something that's like a spelling mistake, it's like, when you're saying you're instead of doing you are, things like that, you've just got to be careful of.
But also, so,
the amount of CVs that come through in terms of people that are really proud of the CVs as well, because they've spent a lot of time on it. Unfortunately, even though they could have spent a lot of time on it, they may not put what they're actually good at, or when they're writing a job description, they put shop floor till work.
Yeah.
It's not about doing that. It's about explaining how you've done it, answering the questions before the employer asks you.
So would you say when you're doing your CV, look at the job job description, and then see what skill sets that you have and match it with the JD?
Yeah. Find your strengths to that job description.
Yeah. I know. I mean, when people, would you say it's also really important for people to get advice, like ask someone independent to look at your CV, be constructive, give constructive feedback, or go to someone who professionally does that for a living, like, for example, like you?
I mean, as long as a lot of people want to be able to do their own CV, to bring their own personality across, which is absolutely fine. And I give as much feedback as possible. If somebody's not asked me to write the CV and just look at it, I'll basically act as an employer and be like, what am I looking for this job? So I'll ask them what type of job they're applying for, and then I'll go from there to base their CV on what they've actually asked me. If someone wants to write their own CV, as I say, just stick to the facts of what you've done, highlight the things that are matching the job description that you're applying for. And
I agree with you, because I think what all of us forget, that CV is only a snapshot of what you actually done in your professional career. Would you also say, because some people have seen CVs where they talk about their hobbies and interests. Would you say that's relevant in CVs, or employers are not looking for that? Yeah.
Page one. So around the side it will have the education, the certificate, the qualifications.
Yeah.
And then underneath that I would tend to put the hobbies.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they also want to know if you're an outgoing person.
Ah, okay.
Some people may not want outgoing people. You may not want sporty people. They might want sporty people. So it's definitely worth just bringing yourself across before they offer you the interview.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I see a lot of CVs, and people always leave out, like the interests and the hobbies. They just talk about academic and employment. You can't get a true picture of someone, can you? You feel like, well, hold on, this person's not selling themselves. Is that right?
That's right. So, on the other side of the page, your strengths and what what you're really good at,
Yeah.
then that is absolutely the must. That's what you must do, so they're interested in looking further.
Yeah.
It's only in the bottom where they're going to see your hobbies and your interests.
Yeah.
So as long as they like what they see in the first half, then just let it flow on the second half. Let them. Obviously, you're going to want the employer to know the type of person you are, because you're going to want to bring that across. And when they start an interview process, they're going to ask you things from your CV.
Great.
So it's always good to keep a copy of your CV in front of you in case you forget what you've put on there.
Absolutely. And so moving on from that, like talking about CV building. So as a recruitment consultant, right, what do you look for a candidate? Like say, look, these are the skills that I look, and how would you train your future clientele to make sure they can present themselves well and perform well for the job? What exactly do you do?
So I automatically have a pre-interview with anybody.
Yeah.
And sometimes I ask the companies for a list of the interview questions that they would ask, so I can get a feel of if they're going to be suitable for that role.
Right.
Other than my pre-interview questions, I'll search the company. Best thing anybody can do: go online, search the company that they're applying for, because then questions are going to come up.
Yep. So what you're saying, do research on the company that you're going to apply for, find out when the company is established, what kind of product they sell, because you don't want to be embarrassed when you go for an interview and they say, what do we do? And you're like, actually, I'm not sure. That would be quite...
So many interviews, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think I'm an interview with when they start, they say, what do you know about the company?
Yeah.
And if you've done no research,
Yeah.
I remember applying for a job. Basically, someone rang me and said, would you be interested in coming down? And after the interview, I was like, I've got no idea about the company. I don't know about what. It was about flooring.
Yeah.
And they were like, don't worry, just come down. So I did. I went home, got ready, went straight there. And they were like, so, Max, what do you know about wood? And I was like, it comes from a tree. And that's the worst thing I ever done, because I didn't research. And even though they said, don't worry about it, we're more for you.
Yeah.
Like, always.
Did you get the job?
I did.
There you go. But also, would you say that is so when you're going for an interview, it's really important how you perform in terms of the language, the way you dress? Do you feel that's also a vital factor?
100%. It's so important that when you go for your interview, always look smart. And even when it says casual, always bring something in terms of, so you can show your professional side as well, because they do want to see that.
What would you say to a young person who's just starting off, or people with experience who have been in a job for like 10, 15 years, and this is the first time they're going for a new job? Yeah. What do you think they should highlight about themselves to say, look, this is my outstanding qualities and I want you to choose me? What would be some of the key words or key phrases that they would use?
Each job is specific, so depending upon what you're applying for would depend on where your strengths lie.
Yeah.
So always pick out the job description, always understand what they're asking of you to do.
Yeah.
And then when you have that understanding, that's when you can put them to your CV and be like, right, this is what I need to highlight. Yeah. And this is what I need to keep out.
Okay. Well, and that, from that, when you as a recruiter, when you get the CVs from applicants, right? When you look at the CV, do you think something? Because what I'm trying to get is that I get sometimes CVs in different color forms. People don't use white paper. Do you think that has an impact? Because I think, why haven't you used the white paper? They use different color papers, or they write about 4 or 5 pages. Do you think that's important to look at actually what color the paper is? Because I know it's, if you think, hold on, what's color got there? But it does play a part, doesn't it? Like the type and
a lot of companies would ask for an email
Yeah.
CV.
Yeah.
So in that respect, no. If you're going to go hand it out to local businesses, then I wouldn't use a normal white piece of paper. I'd probably go buy some nice professional looking paper.
Yeah.
out, and if there's colour, make sure that colour matches the.
No, because I've seen that. That's what I was trying to say. I've seen that people who hand in CVs, and I've seen that with the different color format or the format doesn't work, and I'm like, hold on, actually, that's not, the other thing I would say, as a recruitment consultant, right? Would you say that it's always good to do preparation for like interview, like do mock interview, so that
Definitely, yeah. Because if I don't do mock interviews with people, I don't want people to get the jobs that they apply for.
Yeah.
Because obviously some of them are our clients, so we might look at interviewing for, say, security guard, security person.
Yeah.
So I would always do a pre-interview to see how they bring themselves across, and then I would then do a mock interview,
Yeah.
ask the security company exactly what they're looking for, and then I try and bring that out without telling them. So what I look for is people to tell me the answer before I ask the question.
Mm.
So when I'm asking people, certain questions like what qualities could you bring to the role?
Yeah.
I would hope that somebody would go, okay, well, I've done this.
Yeah.
This is how I did it. This was the outcome, and this is what happened.
Okay.
And then that way, it's just a flow. And the one thing that interviewers don't like doing is just keeping prompting people to answer questions.
Yeah.
You probably know that yourself.
No, but I think one thing you could just say, if you're not sure when the interviewer asks you a question, if you're not sure, say, look, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Can you, explain that? And the other thing I would say about interviewing is take your time. Don't rush. Listen to the question, formulate the answer, because they're not going to punish you for that. They're not going to say, oh, this person's taking too long. Just take your time and remember that. Yeah, and remember, dear listeners, when people are asking you for an interview, that means first step you have passed. That means they have liked something about you. They like your CV. There's something that in that CV says actually this person is worth giving an interview. So once you pass that hurdle, then when you go to the interview, actually think about it. Say, look, I'm 50% there. How can I sell myself more? Because the most important thing, again, like CV, I would say highlight all your qualities relevant to that job. Yeah. The other thing I will say, it's really important what Mag said too. Read the job description because the answers are there. They're going to ask you a question related to that job description. Don't think, I'm because I've done some of the job previously, so I got admin skill or I got this skill. It's not going to work. They will ask you a specific question regarding that post that they applied for. So read the question, because sometimes we don't read the question, do we? We just go in thinking, I got an interview for this and that. And then we try to go in there and come unstuck because we haven't read, as you say, the research, Listen, Max, because we're coming to the end of the show. Before we go, finally, would you like to say something to the listeners in terms of what to watch out for themselves in terms of when they're writing CV and how to make sure that the CV stands out against other potential employers?
So first of all, with the what not to do.
Yeah.
Anything that can discriminate you. So probably keep your age, your date of birth off. We don't need to know that.
Yeah.
The standing out, I'd say make sure you've got your name, your contact details are up to date, because the amount of CVs that have the wrong phone number on, you're not going to be able to ring you if you put the wrong number on.
Yeah.
Make sure that you put a personal profile telling a little bit about yourself that's not going to be 3 pages long, and make sure you highlight your qualities in terms of if you've got any qualifications, any certificates, always put that on there. And obviously, in terms of your qualities against the job description, just put in maybe 6 or 7 bullet points of what you've done in your previous job. That would help you in the new.
Absolutely. I think you're right. Make sure that your CV matches in terms of the qualification and the experience that they're looking for in that particular job that you're applying for. So, dear listeners, I'd like to say on behalf of Talk to Josh, Max, welcome and thank you very much. It was really informative, and I'm sure my listeners take some advice and some guidance in what you have said. I'd like to say to my dear listeners, thank you for listening to Talk to Josh. It's been an absolutely pleasure. Till next week, We'll catch up again. And in the meantime, remember, if you are applying for a job, remember this. Make sure you check every aspect of your CV, your professional qualification, your relevant skill set to the job, your spell check, and make sure it's the same for the format, how you structure it, and ask yourself, if I was employing this person, what am I looking for? I'll keep asking those questions to yourself and saying, right, have I done justice to myself? Have I made sure I'm selling myself for this job in terms of my skill sets, my professionalism, and my knowledge? And just keep it. And if you're not sure, there's always people like Mags, or ask your friends or family members who can help you, or someone who's got professional skill set. Till next week, it's been absolute pleasure, Mags, and thank you, my dear listeners, to listen and talk to Josh. Take care and see you next week. Bye.